Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Let Me Just Say This. If you are new here, hello, welcome to the vibe, welcome to the tribe. Go ahead and subscribe, baby. You are going to love it here. And if you're watching, hello from the living room once again, you already know the deal. Hello from me and my son, Midnight Bartholomew William James Hezekiah, first of his name. And I have to say, always got to disclaim, baby. Not me with the poem, honey. He is a cat. My son is a cat. He is a feline and he's fine. And we are back with you once again. And let me just say this, baby. I have had a doozy of a week, but I'm so happy to be here with you. And I hope you guys had an amazing week. I hope you guys had an amazing weekend and you're just having an overall great time at the moment that you are listening or watching this episode, okay? Now listen, I decided to watch Love is Blind, and y'all know I really don't I stay away from the dating shows because I think it's all a fucking joke. However, Love is Blind is going crazy on TikTok, and I was like, okay, let me watch the show. You guys know I did the ultimatum breakdown, and I actually enjoyed the ultimatum. It gave me a lot of good inspo, and it got the cogs rolling. So I'm watching Love is Blind now, and let me just say this. Watching Love is Blind is actually painful. It's a painful watch, but I would be lying if I said it wasn't entertaining. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a bit intriguing. And it really is crazy how people go on national television, quote unquote, because it's all streaming services over here, and we're gonna talk about Netflix and all these streaming services and the ads and stuff, baby, maybe in another episode, but they're getting on my nerves. Y'all know I get all my stuff on bootleg now, okay? But anyway, the point is, I've been watching Love is Blind, and these people go on this show just to get played out on national television. Now, mind you, there are like less than 5 success stories, but these people generally go on the show just for some nonsense that really you could have took to the grave. Y'all could have done this in private. I don't know why you had to put this out into the atmosphere, but it makes for great entertainment. And so I decided to watch it so I can give my little 2 cents in my commentary, because I don't want to be left out of the conversation, because they're going crazy on TikTok right now. And I took notes. And do not worry, if you have not seen the show, I'm not going to give any crazy spoilers because I'm only on episode 6. I have a full-time job and I'm a full-time student, baby. I do not have time to be watching and binging seasons of these shows, but I've tried to catch up just enough to give my thoughts. And I'm still not even at the point that all the girls are talking about, because I know they're going crazy on ID and all this other stuff, and we're going to talk about that. But I really want to touch on the specific dating scenarios that I feel like we all have run into that are exhibiting itself or themselves in this show right now. So I took some notes on that, and I'm just going to share my thoughts with you guys in this episode, okay? And in addition to that, just a couple self-care thoughts and self-care things that I've been doing this week to pick myself back up, because when I tell you, honey, the past week drained me. Baby, I felt like I was swallowed up, and not in a good way, not in the way that I want it to be. So we're going to talk about that as well. But before we do that, let's get into this ad cut, honey. Help me pay these bills. As your token blind baddie bestie, it would be wrong of me not to let you know that I am a Z-Lo partner, honey. I might as well be an elite employee of the Blind Baddie Bestie gang, because, honey, when I tell you I got glasses on glasses on glasses on glasses, when I tell you I got glasses for every day of the week, honey, and it's all shout out to Z-Lo, baby. Go over there, use code LMJST to save 10% on your order. I promise you won't regret it. They're always getting new stock. They're always getting new frames. You don't have to even need glasses, baby. They got non-prescription. They got sunglasses. They got anything and everything that you need. If you want to switch up the game, go get you some new frames, okay? And save some coins and help me pay these bills. They should really rename the show Falling in Love with Potential on steroids. Because the reality is, love is not blind, honey. I don't know who needs to hear this, but love is 110,000% not blind. And I do not believe that you can find love in a bubble, not realistically. For those cases out there of the show that have actually been successful, kudos to them for actually being in it and finding their person. But primarily and majority of the time, things like this really don't work. Like, imagine going on TV just to get played out. and be crying and have all your business on Front Street. Like, you can't even take none of your shit to the grave no more. Everybody knows who you are. And you know, a lot of people do go on these shows for clout. I do believe that some people are desperate enough to go for love. Maybe desperate is harsh. Am I harsh for thinking that people who go on dating shows are desperate? Like, how hard is it out here? And I get it, baby. It's hard. The dating pool got pee in it for sure. But is it that hard you got to go on TV to get embarrassed? Like, if I'm going to get embarrassed, I'm not going to do it on the big screen, baby. I'm going to just take my L's in private. You will not catch me on nobody's reality dating show ever. Ever. It's just not. No. I value my self-esteem too damn much for that. But like I said, it makes for great entertainment. But I still feel like it showcases this idea that you can find people in a bubble, that you can fall in love in a couple days on this like really crazy expedited timeline that in reality doesn't really happen that way, because life be lifing in the craziest of ways. So let me set the scene for you guys who have not seen Love is Blind. Basically, they're a group of singles, men and women, who go onto this show. Okay, they are given a pod, and essentially, imagine you are speed dating, but you don't get to see them. Like, you're in separate rooms and you talk through a wall. That's essentially what it is for them. And they don't meet each other unless they get engaged. And then after that point, they have 4 weeks to decide if they're going to get married or not, I believe. And during that time, they're just in their pods. They date each other. And a lot of times, of course, with these dating shows, there are people who are dating multiple people, and there's some competition and people's feelings get hurt. And it can kind of be a little bit brutal when, at the end of the day, with these shows, especially like these heterosexual dating shows, even in these scenarios that are like heavily controlled, men hold the agency on choosing who they're going to propose to. So I feel like it's always a lose situation for the woman, because you are still relying on getting chosen. At least at this point, he's not choosing you for your assets. But with that being said, if he sees you and the assets aren't assetting, then he might choose somebody else in the end any damn way. That's neither here nor there. That's besides the point. The point is, these people are in a highly controlled environment where they can kind of curate relationships. And I think it's easy to fall in love with mystique. It's easy to fall in love with something you haven't seen. It's the mystery and the fun of it all, right? But is it really love? Is it really love? Like, do you really think you can fall in love in 3 weeks with a stranger? A stranger that a lot of times, from watching the show, a lot of these people bond in ways that I don't feel like are necessarily healthy. They bond over trauma. There's a lot of trauma bonding. Like, damn, you were raised by a single mom. So was I. We really relate. We have so much in common. Do you really have anything in common besides your mama was a single mama? And you grew up and you know, had to fend for yourself? Do you actually have real tangible things in common besides the things that stem from pain? You know what I'm saying? And then a lot of the time, these people who go on these shows aren't actually ready for relationships. Like, they're just there because they want to be with someone. And don't get me wrong, I get it, because everybody wants to be with somebody. But imagine you say you're ready for a relationship and your first thing to do is, well, maybe not your first, but your thought is, I'm going to go on a dating show. Do you really think you're ready for a relationship? BFFR, Bookie. BFFR. So I feel like in any way you spin it, shows like this are designed for failure. Shows like this are designed for us to watch these unfortunate events, a series of unfortunate events, play out with these people who have real feelings, real emotions. And it's sad to see, but it can also be really great when it seems like things work out. But like I said, historically, the show hasn't been very great, in all honesty, and it's not good for women at all, in my opinion. I think that whirlwind romances in a bubble, in isolation like this, are unrealistic as hell. Because, and we all know this, at the end of the day, life's like no other. And it's one thing to be in this isolated place where you can just focus on each other, and you can just focus on dating and playing the game. Or, you know, once you guys meet, you guys are on this luxurious island, you could just spend time and have fun together and still be wrapped up in the ooh and the ah of it. But once you go back to the real world, Once you go back to real life, that's when the test really begins. And I think maybe Love is Blind is a good way to introduce people, but setting them up to be married is quite extreme because, like I said, nothing happens in a bubble. There are a lot of factors that influence if someone is a good partner for you. It's about lifestyle, it's about chemistry, genuine chemistry, and it's about attraction. Physical attraction plays a huge part. And I like that people want to believe that love is truly blind and it doesn't matter. But in the reality, you know, not everybody on the show is attractive. Not everybody on the show is, you know, conventionally good looking, because there are some people who kind of break the mold, but majority of them are. Majority of these women are attractive women. Majority of these men are stereotypical looking, regular, attractive, quote unquote, by societal standards, people. And I feel like if love is really blind, like, put regular, degular, smuggler people in there. Put the average looking person in there, not these people that are considered somewhat above the average, even though I feel like they're probably not that much above, but I'm just saying, you know, based on who you walk by in the street, they're going to choose the more attractive people for these shows so that they can garner that audience, right? If attraction wasn't a big deal, I don't think we would need shows like this, and they know that. Of course they know that. And so once these couples leave, oftentimes, baby, it's doomed to fail because they realize, actually, I'm not compatible with you. Actually, I just liked you in the bubble. I don't actually like you in real life. You're not someone I would go for. You're not somebody I even want to be around, like, ever. And I feel like that's the beauty of dating in the real world, is that you can take time and see how this person meshes with your life and how you mesh with theirs. You can take time and see the compatibility and see if that, you know, it factor is there or not. Versus in this bubble, everything's expedited. These people, when I tell you, these people are falling in love in like 3 days. And listen, if you believe at love at first here or something like that, then maybe it'll work out. But baby, 3 days? Y'all talking about y'all love each other, y'all crying. I just feel like, come on, get a grip. Ain't no way y'all in love, not even after 3 weeks, baby. Not even after 3 months. That is kind of crazy. Not kind of, it is crazy. But the thing is, like I said, in these isolated spaces, it's easy to develop these intense feelings because that's all your mind is on. And that's all you're being conditioned to feel at that time. But once reality hits, once it's back to life, back to reality, girl, the here and now hits a little bit different, and they realize they actually don't like each other. And we watch it play out, and it's sad as fuck. One thing that we really see playing out on Love is Blind is a person, primarily the women, but some of the men do this as well, putting all their eggs in one basket. I think it hits harder for the women though, because the men, they're like, okay, well, may the best man win. And they're able to move on a little bit easier. The women though, baby, we see this play out between Jess and Jimmy. And it's really sad to see because Jess is really like, okay, I'm betting on you. It's you, it's you, it's you. And it's easy to talk to somebody through the wall and hear them say to you, yeah, you're the one. You're it for me. You know, you're the person I want to leave with. But at the end of the day, you're on a reality dating show. Everyone's dating each other. Everyone's dating multiple people. If you go out of your way to get dead set on somebody else, I feel like you're setting yourself up for failure. You should always keep a pair and a spare. Word to my grandmother, especially in this situation when you're dating. And I understand. A lot of people don't want to date multiple people. A lot of people, you know, can only handle dating one person at a time. But the danger in that is that you have to, specifically for women, you have to rely on getting chosen. Because I don't care what anybody says, in the dating realm, women do not hold as much agency as men do when it comes to commitment. So a woman may choose to commit to a man. She may choose him. She may give to him and say, this is the one that I want. It does not matter unless he chooses her back. There's no real commitment unless he commits to her. And in this show, we see Jimmy commit to somebody else who really and truly, I feel like he committed to that girl because Jess was like so hard on him. He wanted the easier woman. And that happens a lot too. When you have higher standards or when you stand on business, be prepared for that person to leave you. They're probably going to leave you for somebody easier if they're the type of person who needs someone that is more docile. Somebody who doesn't call them on their shit. Somebody who, isn't willing to put up with their bullshit and is going to check their shit at the door. So I feel like in any scenario, especially something like this, to be upset that the person you're dating is talking to other people or may have more connections with other people is, I'm going to try to put this in the nicest way possible. It's dumb as fuck. Excuse my French. I'm sorry. It's not a smart thing to do. Why go on a dating show and be upset that the person that you're talking to is dating other people? It doesn't matter what they tell you. You have to take everything for a grain of salt, especially when you're talking to a personality. It could be a damn robot on the other side of the wall for all you knew. Okay? Baby, protect your heart. And that's where I feel like a lot of people, they go into these shows and they're really open. They really want it so bad that they're not focused on protecting their heart. And things get messy. I'm sure later in the season, I've seen the previews, baby. It gets messy. It gets messy as hell. Dating is nothing but a big ass competition, okay? You are competing for somebody's heart, right? And it may be tough to hear, and it's difficult to know that at the end of the day, you do have competition. There are other people, and sometimes you aren't the right person for somebody. Sometimes the right person for them is out there somewhere else waiting on them. And it doesn't matter how much you want them or how right you feel. At the end of the day, sometimes you may lose. And when people go on these shows, I think they forget that it's a competition. You're competing. And so while you might have friends there and people that you mesh well with, baby, somebody else could take your man at the drop of a hat. Sorry. So I know everybody's talking about AD and Clay. I haven't gotten there, so I'm not going to discuss too much about AD and Clay. But I will say that there were a lot of red flags up front with AD and Clay, because AD is already saying that she knows that this is a man who is broken. A man who has come to her and said, I'm so messed up. I'm so broken. And she knows that she said herself that she's a fix-a-hoe. So she's going to want to boss him up and be by his side and, all these things that we are trained and taught to do. Baby, red flag. She saw it, she said it, she still went with it. And I would be lying if I said that the relationship between AD and Clay didn't seem weird to me. It does seem weird. It does have the way something about him just does not sit right with me. And I'm on episode 6. Like I said, I'm not too big into it, but here are some of the red flags that I noticed up front when AD went and told Clay about her connection with Matthew. Okay, first of all, how are you gonna get mad at me for telling you I had a connection with somebody else when we're on a dating show? Mind you, I don't think Clay was dating anybody else. I think Clay had his mind set on AD. However, we are on a dating show. I feel like Clay did a very good job of doing what a lot of guys do when a woman comes to them in a vulnerable moment and tells them something like that, like, hey, I have a connection with somebody else. A lot of times it's like, well, I'm gonna flip it on you. I'm gonna get upset. I'm not gonna understand where you're coming from a human perspective. As a person who is dating openly, just like I'm dating openly, I'm going to get mad, flip this shit on you, and then be like, it's okay though, I'll forgive you, so that I'm kind of the victim. She should have picked up on that. And I think she may have. I don't know, but like I said, she still went along with Clay. And I think when they first saw each other, it was definitely lust at first sight. It was lust at first sight, because let's be real, AD got a body on her. She does. Pretty face, but she got a body. She got more body than face, in my opinion. And so AD probably picked up on that, and we all know what he's aiming for. We all know what he wants. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter how good the conversation was between them damn walls. He trying to get in them walls, baby. I'm sorry, that was so vulgar, but but that's just the reality. Now, like I said, I haven't seen too much about AD and Clay, so I'm not going to speak on them too much. But we are going to talk about Jess and Jimmy. Okay? Jess, Jimmy, and the girl who said she looked like Megan Fox. Now, Jimmy is so weird to me, because what does Jimmy want? What does Jimmy want? Okay? There are a lot of people who really are dating with no idea of what they want. They have no idea of who they are, what they want, and they're going to go for what's easiest. Jimmy is one of those guys. Jimmy is one of the guys who's going to go for the lower hanging fruit. If there's a woman who's going to step on his neck or check him or put him in his place or not allow him to be on that runaround bullshit, he's going to choose the easier woman. And that's what I believe happened. In all honesty, Jess, the thing about Jess, I feel like Jess's first big issue was not disclosing that she had a child. I put this on the Instagram page. If you have a child and you are dating, you have to disclose that upfront. You cannot wait until that person starts to like you or you told them about all your other childhood trauma. She told this man how she was in foster care and all this other shit. And I'm just like, you're not even really disclosing the fact that you had a kid. Maybe she told him that after. But she had told him some personal things about herself before even disclosing that she had a child. Double digits in age. A child, honey. Okay? Those are the type of things you say up front. Because I don't think it's fair to spring that up on somebody. And I feel like from that moment that he found out she had a child and knowing that he wasn't sure about being ready for children, from that moment, I think that he knew he wasn't going to choose her. But he baited her. Okay, let me just see. Maybe he thought, okay, maybe I can do it. But I think from that moment on, he probably knew he wasn't going to choose her in the first place, especially when he had a second prospect. And so when Jess expressed her feelings and he wasn't expressive back, that was absolutely her sign to know that he just been in here wasting my time just for funsies. And the reality is he been new. Because how do you go? He went and had a conversation with Jess. She expressed her feelings. He didn't feel the same way, in a nutshell. And then that same night, he goes and tells another woman that he loves her. And then turns back around and tells Jess that he didn't make up his mind about who he was going to go with. You already knew. You knew from the jump. Some people will just sit around and waste your time for hours and hours and days upon days until they figure out that, okay, I can't string this person along any longer. They're not going to let me do it, especially a man like Jimmy who wants the easier woman, who wants the easier catch. Let me just go with old girl who says she looked like Megan Fox, but she really looked like Megan Fox's distant cousin. I feel like that's enough of Love is Blind, baby, because honestly, the show really exhausts the fuck out of me. For the rest of my commentary, please go to the TikTok, honey, because I'll be talking a little bit more in depth about my opinions on each of the couples. But for here, this is all I got. This is all I got for y'all on today. Let's move on to this self-care and this self-love, because that's really what we're tapping into. Like I said, at the beginning of the year, I'm like, yo, we're really tapping back into ourselves. And I went to church today. Shout out to the big God for bringing me through, honey, because I had a lot of thoughts about love and a lot of thoughts about finding the one. And I know I told you guys I would talk about where I am, like, as far as relationships and romance is concerned. And I feel like today might be the day. Today is the day to disclose the fact that I've given up. No, I haven't given up. Let's get into it. Love is such a big deal. I feel like oftentimes we put ourselves in positions to think that we are in love, but it's not really love. It's anxious attachment. It's not wanting to be alone. It's a trauma bond. It's, desperation. And we call it love and we cosplay like it's love. And I promise you, hindsight is 2020. Every time we look back, we realize, no, that wasn't really love. That wasn't actually love. That was just me in a space where I thought I had all these emotions and I thought I had this deep understanding of what love was for me, but I actually didn't. And in me getting closer with God and realizing that I am so loved that I don't think I could ever put up with anything that is less than that. You know what I'm saying? I know no one's going to love me as much as God loves me, but I'm just saying that I know that there is a higher love, that there is a love that is so deep and so kind and so affectionate and so patient. Why would I deal with anything that is saying it's love and doesn't exhibit those characteristics? Why would I deal with anything that says it's love and doesn't make me feel that way and doesn't mimic that? Why? Because a lot of people will come into your life and they say that they love you. They don't know what love is themselves. One thing I will say about my ex is that he didn't say he loved me. I thought I loved him. I did. But in reality, I knew in the back of my mind that I didn't. Like I thought that I was like, my man, I love my man. But in reality, love is a different type of feeling. It's a deeper type of feeling. And it's not to be taken lightly because it comes with a lot of sacrifice. It comes with a lot of shifting of your own life for another person. And we get caught up in this idea of romantic love and this whimsical love. But like I said, when we move out of this bubble and we get into real life, love looks a lot different, and it looks different for many people in a very realistic way. It's really sensitive because you have to toe the line between protecting your heart and also being open to love so that you can find the person that you're supposed to be with. But I feel like, of course, we know the starting point is to love yourself first and foremost, always. And it's hard. It is hard. Word to Cleo's soul when she said, know that you are loved even when you don't love yourself. Because there are so many days where I wake up and I don't love myself. There are so many days when I wake up and I'm like, yo, I don't even love me. How can I expect somebody else to love me? And that's really the truth, is you can't expect someone to love you if you don't love yourself. And you can't expect to find a good love if you don't know love. And love can be our biggest vice. Sometimes love is coming into your life, you know, as a disguise, as a front for something else that's really not good for you, really not the best for you. And for me personally, I think I was on this journey for love, on my lover girl thing for so long. Now I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, yo, if it doesn't feel like it, I don't want it. Know that you are loved, okay? Know that you are loved, and when you love yourself enough, you won't put yourself in positions to give so much to someone without even knowing if they are worth it or if they can pay the cost, okay? Because you are an experience, baby. You are an experience that not everybody can afford. Remember that, okay? Thank you guys so much for supporting. As always, follow on the socials. Everything will be linked below, and I will get with you guys in the next one.